Hello friends, welcome to Ecoholics YouTube channel. My name is Avinash and in this video I'll be discussing with you economics current affairs for 28th August 2024. So friends, मैंने आप लोगों के लिए तीन important topics पकड़े हैं from the Mint newspaper. One is around Gift City. Gift City के अंदर कुछ issues चलने लग रहे हैं, so we'll be discussing about the same. उसके बाद we'll be looking at the question. Another topic is about Unified Lending Interface जो कि RBI बना रहा है. This is on very similar lines as compared to Unified Payment Interface UPI. So UPI has completely revolutionized the way payments are done in India. So उसी प्रकार का revolution we want to do in the lending space as well. So उसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए जो है ये step लिया जाने लग रहा है RBI द्वारा, right? And third topic which I have picked up for you, that is around the Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yojana, right? So that Dhan Yojana has completed 10 years. So let's start our discussion. So आज थोड़ा सा रिवर्स काउंटडाउन करते हैं, राइट? सो लेट अस फर्स्ट स्पीक अबाउट जनधन योजना. सो आई हैव थोड़ा सा मैंने स्क्रीन को बड़ा कर दिया है. सो दिस इज अ फोटोग्राफ फ्रॉम 10 years ago, राइट? सो प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना जो है, इट्स अ वेरी एम्बिशियस फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन स्कीम. इट इज स्टिल ऑपरेशनल इन इंडिया, राइट? आई एम वेरी श्योर दैट प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना का 2.0, 3.0 kind of versions will also be launched going ahead, because financial inclusion जो है उसका definition change हो जाएगा थोड़े time में. So it's not just about having bank account. It may be having, let us say, a card, or maybe it may be having, let us say, access to modern investment in options, right? Anyways, the idea is that कि ये एक important financial inclusion scheme है and it is completing 1 decade today, right? 531 million beneficiaries इसके रह चुके हैं. And why am I discussing this, by the way, with you guys? I am discussing all this with you guys because I believe that कि आपके एग्जाम के अंदर जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की फ्लैगशिप स्कीम्स है उससे रिलेटेड they are likely to ask you questions, right? And there cannot be a more important flagship scheme of government of India than प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना. So इसीलिए I am, I have picked out this particular infographic from the Mint newspaper and I am discussing this in so much detail with you. Because एक क्वेश्चन तो आपको यहाँ पर से पूछ सकता है. There is a very good probability that they will ask you a question, right? So this is basically a financial inclusion scheme. Point number 1. Point number 2, 531 million beneficiaries have been provided with a zero balance bank account. So what is the product or what is the service that is being provided? We are providing zero balance bank account. We are providing a RuPay debit card. We are providing a 2 lakh accident insurance, right? So the cover is half for older accounts. ठीक है? So ऐसे करके we are providing essentially 3 benefits. Zero balance bank account. Banks are not interested in providing. Why? Because इसमें zero balance आप रख सकते हैं. Okay? So if you are keeping zero balance in your bank account, then that means that bank doesn't earn anything out of your account if the balance is actually zero. And बैंक अकाउंट को ऑपरेट करने का, ओपन करने का, देयर इज अ कॉस्ट, राइट? सो टू मेंटेन द बैंक अकाउंट देयर इज अ कॉस्ट. इफ यू डोंट maintain any balance, then that means that banks don't get anything. So they are not very interested in opening a zero balance bank account. But if you look at the human psychology, right, and if you ask for a minimum balance of 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees, right, and then you say that you will charge a penalty if the balance drops below that minimum amount, so a lot of Indians will not be very happy, especially those who are at the bottom of the pyramid section of population, who don't have a bank account, who don't have a high enough income. So they will not open a bank account if they have to maintain a minimum balance. Keeping that idea of human behavior in mind, this idea was developed that we will offer a zero balance bank account, we'll offer a RuPay debit card, and we'll offer a 2 lakh accident insurance, right? Now, what is the advantage? What is the third point? Advantage is that formal banking has become more accessible. So those who are unbanked, didn't have a bank account, now they also have a bank account, right? And this is a very important pillar of digital public infrastructure. So we have created a lot of financial infrastructure in India. We just talking about UPI, we'll be talking about ULI going ahead. This is an important component of that digital public infrastructure or DPI that we keep talking about. Because see, digital public infrastructure की मदद से what is happening is कि गवर्नमेंट एक बटन दबा के बहुत सारे बेनिफिशियरीज को पैसा भेज सकती है, राइट? वेलफेयर के लिए, एजुकेशन के लिए, न्यूट्रिशन के लिए, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बेनिफिट के लिए, ओल्ड एज बेनिफिट के लिए एक बटन के क्लिक करने के ऊपर गवर्नमेंट कैन सेंड मनी, राइट? सो दैट इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज these प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना अकाउंट्स वर opened, right, on a mission mode, and these accounts are serving a very good purpose in that sense, right? ग्लोबल एवरेज के आगे निकल चुके हैं हम लोग इन टर्म्स ऑफ पेनिट्रेशन ऑफ फॉर्मल बैंक अकाउंट्स, राइट, बट वी आर नॉट देयर येट, राइट, सो वी नीड टू स्टिल डू अ लॉट मोर इन इंडिया इटसेल्फ, ठीक है. So these are some of the most important points. If they ever ask you a question on Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana for 5 marks, 10 marks, whatever, so this particular paragraph over here is your, you know, is your answer. इसके अलावा आपको कुछ लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? If you look at the number of beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, as I mentioned, that the number is now 531 million from 145 million in March 2015, right? Like I mentioned, that this particular Yojana, it has helped improve financial inclusion, right? So this is the share of adults who are 15 years and above who have an account in a bank or a regulated financial institution. So this data is from 2021 still, right? So we are doing reasonably well for ourselves, because the global average is that 74% people have an account in a bank or a regulated financial institution. हमारे कंट्री के अंदर that number is now 77%, और I'm sure that by 2024 का अगर डेटा देखेंगे, so we would have definitely crossed 80 or something like that, right? 66.6% is beneficiaries at rural or semi-urban bank branches. यानी कि जो 2/3 of the beneficiaries है, they are outside of let us say urban areas, which is very good, because urban areas के अंदर things are already in the right direction, and we wanted to pull the rest of the India ahead, which is what we have been able to do with this particular scheme, right? 4,352 is the average amount of deposits in a PMGDY account, which is very good, right? 4,352, because see, when this scheme was initially launched, so there was a lot of criticism. The criticism was around two areas. First area was that accounts तो खुलवा दिए, but accounts inoperative है, यानी कि nobody is using those accounts. So 40% of the PMGDY accounts were non-operational in 2017, and there used to be a lot of criticism of the government कि account खुलवा दिए, you're celebrating account opening, nobody is using the account, you know, so you have to increase the income, you have to increase financial literacy. So there was a lot of criticism of this scheme at that point of time. In a matter of 6-7 years, quite organically, without doing too much of radical work, this non-operational number of accounts has already come down on itself, right? अपने आप कम हो गया है. People have started using it. There is money in this in these accounts. Government is transferring benefits into these accounts. People are accessing these accounts for a variety of different transactions. UPI वगैरह काफी आसान हो चुका है. They are making life very easy. Today when you interact or transact with anybody, your first ask is कि भैया आपको जीपे कर दे, या आपको फोन पे कर दे, यूपीआई कर दे, राइट? सो पीपल हैव आल्सो स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट हाँ, पैसा जो है हमारे खाते के अंदर जाएगा, और खाते के अंदर से पैसा हम लोग अपने आप मैनेज कर लेंगे, राइट? 55% is a share of women among beneficiaries of the scheme, which is again very good. In a patriarchal setup like India, women often lag behind in a variety of different indicators, and if you are able to open bank account for them in which government is transferring money, etc., then that's again a step in the positive direction. So all in all, it's a good scheme, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, right? It was started in a draconian manner when basically a diktat was given that आपको इतने सारे bank accounts open करने पड़ेंगे, and all the public sector bank guys, they went crazy for that 3-4 days period when the government said that कि अब आपको इतने दिन में इतने accounts open करने. Having said that, after 10 years, you can see that this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, it's a very important element of the digital public infrastructure that exists in India, and been quite helpful, right? Anyways, so moving ahead to my next topic. My next topic is around the Unified Lending Interface, ULI, right? So RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das has spoken about this new platform, right? So Shaktikanta Das, he mentioned that we are thinking in terms of launching a technology platform. This technology platform will be called ULI, right? And what this will do is that it will speed up disbursal of credit, especially to rural and small borrowers. Now this rural and small borrowers, there are few problems. First problem is that banks are not interested in lending to them. Why they are not interested in lending to them? छोटा borrower है, छोटा amount borrow करेगा. To monitor that account, to recover that money, to recover the interest, it is a headache, right? So rather than give chota 1,000 loans, I would like to give one bada loan, right? Which will be equivalent to that small 1,000 loans, because that one loan can be easily monitored, etc., etc. And if the borrower is good, then so I don't even need to do anything. The borrower will repay himself or herself, right? So banks are not really interested, right? Documentation is often not available with these characters, right? collateral is not always available with these borrowers, right? So there are a variety of problems, which is exactly why access to formal credit is low in, let us say, rural borrowers, in small borrowers. Because if you're a rural borrower, still I would say 50% of their borrowing, or even 50% थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया, but let's say 30-35% of their borrowing will still be happening from money lenders. 30-35% of their borrowings will still be happening from traditional finance providers, so to speak. ठीक है, उसी प्रकार से जो छोटा borrower है, so they will also rely on very expensive loans. उनको भी लोन आसानी से नहीं मिलता है, right? So this section is heavily dependent on informal lenders, right? And kahin na kahin RBI always knew this. We were not able to solve this, and I believe now this ULI is being talked about, Unified Lending Interface. तो से प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा, राइट? सो दिस विल ट्रांसफॉर्म रिटेल लेंडिंग, ठीक है, मच लाइक हाउ यूपीआई ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड पेमेंट्स, यूएलआई विल ट्रांसफॉर्म लेंडिंग, राइट? सो पेमेंट इकोसिस्टम हैज ऑलरेडी बीन इम्प्रूव्ड क्वाइट अ बिट इन इंडिया. लेंडिंग लैंडस्केप को भी हमारे को इम्प्रूव करवा देना है, राइट? सो दे हैड डेवलप्ड द पब्लिक टेक प्लेटफॉर्म टू एनेबल फ्रिक्शनलेस क्रेडिट, so that we can provide digital information to lenders, so that they can give credit, or they can give loans in a few minutes. See, the loan processing is basically it is something, I mean, ठीक है, मैं ज़्यादा easy कर रहा हूँ इस चीज़ को, but loan processing is something which can be done using a lot of artificial intelligence kinds of interventions, right? In the sense that, see, if you provide the PAN number, if you provide the Aadhaar details, mobile number, CIBIL score, whatever, right? If you provide the past history of this particular person of, let us say, borrowing and repaying, etc., right? Then on the basis of few variables, right, you can kind of develop an opinion very quickly कि इसको देना है कि नहीं देना है, right? And then you can do some manual interventions, you can do some checking, etc., if the algo is giving you the right indications or not giving you the right indications, right? And on the basis of that you can move ahead. So what I'm trying to say over here is that if the RBI is actually talking about a public tech platform, if they are actually talking about providing frictionless credit, means auto approval or auto decision making based on, let us say, digital information, right? So based on deciding in a few minutes. So it's not as if the RBI सोच है that there will be tens and thousands of people who will be sitting and deciding in a matter of minutes what is to be done. So they are thinking in terms of creating a tech system at the back end which will be taking these decisions essentially, right? So उसके बेसिस के ऊपर काफी आसानी से लेंडिंग करी जा सकती है. A lot of these fintech startups are doing exactly this. कुछ नया नहीं कर रहे दोस्तों, यही कर रहे, right? So if RBI is thinking of doing this at a national level, then that's a step in the right direction, right? So this data that is required, right, कि credit देना है कि नहीं देना है, right? So this data is locked up with central government, some data is with state government, some data is with account aggregators, some data is with banks, some data is with CIC such as CIBIL, right, that is credit information companies, some data is with digital identity authorities, right? तो अगर इस सारे डेटा को एक प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर हम, if you are able to bring this entire data on one platform, right, then the loan appraisal, the credit appraisal process can become real time, it can become frictionless, right? So the idea over here is that open architecture, open application programming interface, bring all the players onto one platform, connect them seamlessly, and develop a plug and play model, right? Now the idea over here is that we started pilot projects in 2022. Okay, so we did end-to-end digitization of Kisan credit card loans, we did end-to-end digitization of digital dairy loans, right? So इससे क्या हुआ कि ये सब कर करके किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड, डिजिटल डेयरी लोन्स का एंड टू एंड डिजिटाइजेशन करके we reduce the TAT, the turnaround time, right? And we increase the efficiency in loan processing. And these platforms, they were later expanded to other digital loans. So we have already done whatever homework needed to be done. We have done our trial runs, we are done with our pilot tests, we know that it will work. And the way I'm describing it to you, I hope that even if you are coming from a non-technology background or non-finance background, तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि हाँ भैया 10 information के basis पे we have to decide whether the loan has to be given or not. If we can pull that 10 sources of data together into, let us say, a one platform, then that decision can be taken on a real-time basis, right? So so this platform, as on 31 March, it had 5 loan journeys, KCC loan of up to 1.6 lakh अब इस platform पे आ चुका है. I'm talking about this platform, guys, right? कहाँ गया उसका नाम, राइट. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस पब्लिक टेक प्लेटफॉर्म, ठीक है. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस पब्लिक टेक प्लेटफॉर्म, ठीक है. तो इस प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर वी हैव क्रिएटेड 5 लोन जर्नीज, राइट. केसीसी लोन्स ऑफ अप टू 1.6 lakhs, डेयरी लोन्स, unsecured MSME loans, personal loans as well as home loans, right. 12 banks have already participated in a pilot जो कि 17th August 2023 पे we had started, right, and it enabled linkages with 31 different data services. So you can see that this platform has been created, banks are there, data providers are there, and loans are getting processed. अब इसी को उठा के हमारे को expand कर देना है, right. So the idea over here is that still there is a lot of unmet demand for credit, right, when it comes to agriculture sector, when it comes to MSME borrowers, right. So with this digital information, with land records, right, and with a lot of data coming in, we will be able to reduce the time taken, we'll be able to reduce the errors also, right. We'll be able to reduce the effort also, effort from the side of the borrower, effort from the side of lender, दोनों effort को we'll be able to reduce, because इसमें क्या होएगा कि सारा का सारा काम सिस्टम करेगा, एंड इससे क्या होगा ना कि लिटरेसी पैदा हो जाएगी, बिकॉज इवन पीपल विल स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, अच्छा दैट यू नो आई नीड टू गेट माय लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स राइट, आई नीड टू गेट माय क्रेडिट स्कोर राइट, आई नीड टू गेट माय दिस नंबर राइट, आई नीड टू गेट माय दैट नंबर राइट, राइट. सो इवन पीपल विल स्टार्ट फोकसिंग अपॉन देयर इंडिकेटर्स. थोड़ा सा ऑब्वियस ही बात है, एजुकेशन लगेगा, फाइनेंशियल एजुकेशन लगेगा, बट या यू नो वेयर आई एम कमिंग फ्रॉम, राइट. So this is a part of central bank's digitalization of banking services. So this new platform, it is based on consent of potential borrower, and data privacy का कोई issue नहीं. I mean, given that RBI is involved over here, data privacy वगैरह के बारे में बात करने का मतलब नहीं है, right? So like we just discussed, okay. So there is this trinity that exists in India. Jan Dhan accounts are there, which are linked with Aadhaar, or Aadhaar is linked with Jan Dhan accounts, and mobile number is embedded in the Jan Dhan accounts, or Jan Dhan account is linked with mobile number, right. So this is called your jam trinity, right. And now there is a new trinity which the RBI is building, right, that there is jam, that is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, mobile, there is a UPI and ULI. ये एक नई ट्रिनिटी बन रही है. सो यू सी दैट हाउ, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मार्वल यूनिवर्स को एक्सपैंड करा जाता है, कैरेक्टर्स लाए जाते हैं, राइट, कि you know we create 1 2 3 characters, then we create more 1 2 3 characters, and then you know we merge all those characters together. This is what the Marvel universe of RBI's a digital payment infrastructure, digital public infrastructure is looking like. That we have JAM, and now we have UPI ULI. So now we are bringing JAM, UPI and ULI together, right. So this is quite phenomenal in itself, right. And of course the CBDC, सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसी, एज ऑफ नाउ बहुत अच्छा नहीं कर रहा है, राइट, सीबीडीसी, बट आगे चल के अच्छा कर सकता है, ठीक है. सो द आइडिया ओवर हियर इज दैट ये सारे प्लेटफॉर्म जो है, इट इज बीइंग हैंडल्ड बाय द रिजर्व बैंक इनोवेशन हब, जो कि एक होली ओन्ड सब्सिडरी ऑफ आरबीआई है, एंड इट विल बी हैंडेड ओवर टू द नेशनल पेमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया और एनी अदर एंटिटी जो कि इसको बाद में डेवलप करेगा एंड फर्दर मैनेज करेगा. So very revolutionary guys. Of course more details need to come out, okay, but जितना भी detail आया है, okay, it's good enough, right, it's good enough. So the question that I want you to be ready for is this one over here, that what is the impact, the potential impact of this proposed ULI on credit disbursement efficiency, especially for rural and smaller borrowers compared to the previous system. So this question is not too difficult to answer even based on my discussion. कि प्रीवियस सिस्टम के अंदर इट वाज टाइम टेकिंग, डेटा वाज स्कैटर्ड, कंसेंट के इश्यूज हो जाते थे, काफी एफर्ट डालना पड़ता था. सो द टाइम, एफर्ट, एनर्जी एंड रिसोर्सेज फ्रॉम द बोरोवर साइड, फ्रॉम द लेंडर साइड वाज क्वाइट अ बिट, राइट. एंड इफ द लोन अमाउंट इज स्मॉल एंड इफ द बोरोवर इज वल्नरेबल और वीक सेक्शन से, सो इट डजंट मेक सेंस. सो दोज बोरोवर्स एंड दोज लोन्स वर बीइंग पिक्ड अप फ्रॉम इनफॉर्मल सोर्सेज एट क्रेजी रेट्स ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. उसके कंपैरिजन में दिस सिस्टम दैट वी जस्ट स्पोक अबाउट इज अ मच बेटर सिस्टम, मच मोर एफिशिएंट सिस्टम, मच मोर इजीली यूजेबल सिस्टम. तो ये क्वेश्चन आप इजीली आंसर कर सकते हैं. प्लीज अटेम्प्ट दिस क्वेश्चन, इट इज माय सिंसियर रिक्वेस्ट टू यू, राइट. नाउ लेट अस क्विकली टॉक अबाउट गिफ्ट सिटी. नाउ दिस आर्टिकल इज अ वेरी नैरो आर्टिकल बेस्ड ऑन one particular issue in gift city. I don't think that the examiner will ever ask you such a narrow question, but थोड़ा डिस्कस करना स्टार्ट करते हैं so that you have an idea about gift city, right. And going ahead, if we get an opportunity to have a larger article based on gift city, then we will keep that in mind कि एक larger article आपके साथ डिस्कस करना है, ठीक है. So the idea over here is that investors, right, so they उन्होंने social media के ऊपर कुछ concerns express करे, right. So regulators of gift city, they have stopped allowing family offices to set up investment funds in gift city fearing tax evasion, right? So what are family offices, right? So आजकल ये जो अमीर आदमी होता है ना दोस्तों, अमीर characters, very rich characters sitting on 50 crore, 100 crore, 200 crore, 500 crore kind of characters, right? So they establish family offices, right, to manage their wealth. And those family offices, as a part of managing the wealth, will obviously investing the wealth in India, abroad, etc., etc. So a lot of family offices, they were setting up investment funds, right, from their own wealth, right, in gift city. And those investment funds were operating out of gift city. They were, also investing in domestic assets, but they were also investing in international assets. So there is some idea that कुछ tax evasion हो रहा रहेगा, इसीलिए बंद करवा दिया, right? So there has been a lot of uproar because of this step. So let us discuss this, ठीक है? So gift city का regulator का नाम is IFSCA, IFSCA, that is International Financial Services Centers Authority, IFSCA, right? So IFSCA is your regulator for gift city, ठीक है? And like I said, that they have halted approvals. Now they are not giving any approvals, right? Because Reserve Bank of India has indicated, right, कि कुछ ना कुछ गलत होने लग रहा है, right? There is something called as capital control. What do I mean by capital control? Please understand this. Capital control का मतलब ये होता है कि RBI says that everybody can invest abroad up to a certain limit. So it isn't as if that you can take unlimited amount of capital out of India and invest it abroad. We do not have complete or full or capital account convertibility, right? So what is capital account convertibility? Capital account convertibility means that when it comes to investments, you can bring any amount of money into the country, you can take any amount of money out of the country. That is what I mean by full capital account convertibility, right? What is full capital account convertibility? You can take any amount of money out of the country, you can bring any amount of money into the country, right? That is complete or full capital account convertibility. There is no restrictions, there is no rope talk, there are no limits, there are no sub limits, there is nothing, right? That is what full capital account convertibility means. India doesn't have this. India has only a partial capital account convertibility, in the sense that there are clear cut capital controls still applicable in India, that yes, you can invest abroad up to a certain limit. Yes, you can bring money into India from abroad. So in certain sectors you can bring it through the automatic route, जहाँ पर you don't need any permission. But there are still a lot of sectors in India जहाँ पर you need the approval to bring capital into the country. There are sectors जहाँ पर limit है FDI की, that you cannot have FDI above 49% or above 74%, and the rest of the stake therefore has to be in the Indian hands, right? So what I am trying to say is that RBI क्या कह रहा है कि capital controls are still applicable in India. There is a worry within RBI that ये जो गिफ्ट सिटी के अंदर फैमिली ऑफिसेस के जो इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड्स बन रहे हैं, उसके थ्रू जो है ये कैपिटल कंट्रोल्स को इवेड करा जा रहा है, राइट? सो RBI is worried that there are some loopholes which are being misused, right? So the idea is that this step which RBI has taken, this step which IFSCA has taken, so people are saying that जो गिफ्ट सिटी का ambition है, that it wants to be a center used by wealthy Indians for investments abroad. So ये जो गिफ्ट सिटी का ऑब्जेक्टिव है ये पूरा नहीं होगा, because if you do not allow wealthy Indians to set up investment funds through their family offices in gift city, then what will the gift city do, right? That is what they are saying, right? So first in principle approval was given to billionaire Azim Premji to set up a family investment fund in January. So अभी ये just start ही हुआ था, right? And now IFSCA has stopped. So January में we started and August में we have stopped. ये इंडिया के अंदर ना बहुत खराब चीज है दोस्तों, ये start stop करते रहते हैं अपन लोग, right? So if you start something, then you apply your mind, make a policy and implement it once and for all, right? Why do you keep going back? ठीक है? So what were the norms earlier, right? So we have strict controls on moving capital. So overseas investments is allowed, but it is capped at $250,000 for residents. You can buy property, you can buy shares, you can buy securities, you can set JVs, subsidiaries, right? And you can make these investments through various instruments. Okay, so you can very clearly see over here that the amount is capped and what you can invest into has been clearly specified, right? Now this move that RBI has taken, तो obviously बात है कि जो family offices they will be feeling the impact, right? So they will not be able to move capital abroad a lot. तो जो limit है उतना ही you can move it abroad, you cannot move more than that limit abroad. So Narayan Murthy's Catamaran Ventures, they are also among family offices who are looking for approval, ठीक है? So now what has happened is कि clear regulation है नहीं, etc etc. So they have opened up offices in London and Singapore, but they apparently don't have an office, family office or an investment fund based out of India, right? Industry ने कैसे react करा है? So Mohandas, Pai, etc. They are extremely active on social media. So they have said that this is not a very positive move. ठीक है. Apart from that, there is Navam Capital's Rajiv Mantri, who is saying that India के जो financial investors है, they have so many restrictions on them that they cannot buy critical technology, critical patents, right? As a result of which, India is not able to compete with Americans, Europeans, Japanese, and Chinese players who are able to buy critical technology and so on. Regulator क्या कह रहा है? Regulator बोल रहा है कि we have not made any such move, right? Indian residents, subject to eligibility, subject to capital control, they are permitted to make overseas direct investments under the automatic route, right? So आपको आरबीआई के अप्रूवल की जरूरत नहीं है, आप आरबीआई के अप्रूवल के बिना इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हो. So Indian entities, they can invest 400% of their net worth, and individuals, they can move up to $250,000 in a financial year. तो ये लिमिट्स सेट कर दी गई है. जो एंटिटीज है 400% of their net worth, and individuals के लिए $250,000 के लिए you don't need any permission from anybody, right? So this is the idea over here. Are there any other concerns regarding Gift City, right? So जो Gift City का fund registration है, it has tripled. That's a good thing. Many global funds, उनको license मिला है, but वो inactive है. उनके सामने operational hurdles है. So this is something that we need to take care of. That why is it that we have global funds who have been given permissions are yet in operation? We need to look into that. Another problem is that गुजरात के अंदर, गांधीनगर के अंदर आपको टैलेंट उतना आसानी से नहीं मिलेगा जितना आपको बॉम्बे के बीकेसी में मिल जाएगा, राइट? सो दैट इज अनदर प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है. फंड्स दे आर फेसिंग डिलेज इन ऑब्टेनिंग ऑफिस स्पेस बिकॉज कंस्ट्रक्शन अभी भी चालू है, कंस्ट्रक्शन खत्म नहीं हुआ है, राइट? एंड इफ्स का रिक्वायरमेंट के लिए ध्यान में रखेंगे substantial presence and active business engagement, so that may deter players, because substantial presence कैसे एस्टैब्लिश करे एक एरिया के अंदर जहां पर टैलेंट की कमी है, जहां पर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अवेलेबल नहीं है. एक्टिव बिजनेस एंगेजमेंट कैसे करे जब रेगुलेशंस इतने ज्यादा फिकल तरीके से बिहेव करते हैं, राइट? आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट दिस इज अ वेरी नैरो डिस्कशन ऑन गिफ्ट सिटी. We need to do a much wider discussion. I understand that, but having said that, just have a look at this question and see if you are interested in answering this. But nevertheless, we need to be more aware of what's happening within Gift City, because question can be asked that Gift City को establish तो करा था, but what is the outcome? What is coming out of it? That's what we need to discuss going ahead sometime. So this was my submission for today, guys. I hope that you have learned something new. Definitely you have learned something new so far as Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yojana is concerned and Unified Lending Interface is concerned. With this, we'll bring this session to an end. We'll meet tomorrow again. Until then, thank you so much. All the best and Jai Hind. Bye bye.